hour, keeping an eye on western South Dakota with snow in the hills, rain elsewhere, but to the east we're dry for now. That starts to build eastward later this evening and into the night. Lesser opportunities to the southeast, a little bit more toward Aberdeen. Lows ranging from the 40s to the 30s, even a couple of 20s out toward the hills. Highs tomorrow, though, not as much of a spread. 40s and 50s, but we're still looking at the chance for rain in several locations and some lingering snow showers toward the Black Hills. Updates on that and the rest of your 7-day forecast are coming up, but until then, First at 4 starts right now.
Live from Kiloland Media Group. Kiloland News, First at 4.
A large poultry plant in Iowa is closing its doors. What it's going to mean for all the birds the plant was going to process.
Plus, like South Dakota, Minnesota has a lot of ballot issues and races this year. A look at the judicial challenges.
And later, artificial intelligence is bringing some animals back to life. How a unique experiment in London is making that happen. Good afternoon, and thanks for tuning in to First at 4. I'm Don Jorgensen.
And I'm Kelly Volk. A mother and son are headed to federal prison for a deadly beating in western South Dakota. In May of last year, 48-year-old Theodora Belt and 23-year-old Bailey Belt were involved in a fight at a home in the town of Bridger. The Belts beat two brothers with a shovel and then ran over one of them. One brother died. The other had serious injuries but survived. A jury recently convicted the Belts of second-degree murder and assault charges. This week, a judge sentenced Theodora Belt to 22 years behind bars. Her son Bailey Belt received a 27-year sentence. Their prison time will be followed by 3 years of supervised release.
On November 1st, some changes will be happening on South Dakota Highway 11 in Brandon. The existing east lanes will be turned into two-way configuration on the new west lanes and bridge. The change in traffic pattern will allow for a demolition of an existing structure. Now, Interstate 90 will continue to have two-way traffic during the reconstruction of an exit, as well as an added diverging diamond. The project will continue through next year's construction season.
Open burning is still banned in Yankton County today as the fire danger is still extremely high. The ban could be lifted tomorrow, but it will only be lifted if the county gets enough moisture to lower the fire danger.
Well, speaking of moisture, we are seeing some in western South Dakota right now.
Yeah, what's the story on that, Adam?
Oh, well, snow. We actually have something. At this point, we needed something or anything to come around in the form of any bit of moisture to get over here. We're certainly getting that, just not over to the southeast yet. We're going to do a tale of two halves. There's Great Bear. We'll start things off here in Sioux Falls, 70 at this hour with a south wind at 11 miles per hour. But then you compare that to what they have out in Terry Peak. From some sunshine and 70 here to 32 degrees in Lead and snow accumulating as we speak. They still have a winter storm warning in the central and northern portions of the Black Hills, which we'll get to in a little bit. Look at the spread of temperatures across Kiloland. 36 in Spearfish, 35 for Custer, even 43 for Buffalo and Rapid City. Compare that to 80 in Spencer, Iowa right now, 76 in Worthington, 70 here in Sioux Falls, 50s up toward Brookings and Watertown, 60s up in Aberdeen and over toward Huron, 59, kind of splitting the difference toward Pierre as well. Winds are, well, making their presence known. 15 to 25 miles per hour, mainly out of the north, unless you're in southeastern Kiloland. We have that southerly component coming up through Sioux Falls, Spencer, and into Worthington as well. That has kept the temperature a decent bit above average for this time of year, and will continue to do so at least for a little while longer. So there is the winter weather headlines that we have in place. Winter storm warning in red for areas near Mystic, Lead, Deadwood, as well as south of Spearfish. This will be through noon Mountain Time Wednesday. Winter weather advisories in blue for Hill City, Custer, Rockerville, and along the I-90 corridor in Spearfish. This will also be until noon Mountain Time on Wednesday. And here is the look from live Doppler radar. We'll go over and zoom in a little bit over toward the Spearfish and Rapid City area and go over the last about 2 or so hours. We have seen that snow just fill in and move in more and more, but you notice Rapid City still hanging in there with rain, and it's a very chilly rain out that way. More of those showers of the rain variety do gradually build eastward. We'll go through details on that and the rest of your 7-day forecast as we head through the hour.
All right. Thanks a lot, Adam. A Dakota State University professor is part of an international research team that has found evidence of feathered raptor dinosaurs using wings for flight. Alex Duchecki says that the team reviewed a series of microraptor tracks with strides indicating that the sparrow-sized dino was traveling around 30 miles per hour, a seemingly impossible speed for it to run. The team reasoned that it must have been using its wings to create lift and propulsion, much like a goose flapping and running to take off. Duchecki explained how the team came to this conclusion and what it could mean in the context of further research. You can find all that in a KELOLAND.com original story by Jacob Newton, online now.
Well, late last week, more than 1 million broiler chickens raised in Iowa and surrounding states were euthanized after Pure Prairie Poultry didn't have the money to feed the birds. Now, questions are being raised about taxpayer dollars used to expand the company's now closed plant in Charles City, Iowa. This is the former Pure Prairie Poultry plant where officials cut a ribbon on the expansion on July 24th, but closed on October 2nd. So for now, the city of Charles City has a new processing plant, but no one to run the plant. That was part of the reason the birds were euthanized. There was no way to process the birds for food. The deceased birds will be composted according to the Iowa Department of Agriculture.
Well, an Iowa resident has died from a suspected case of Lassa fever. Health officials are investigating the death, likely caused by a viral disease rarely seen in the U.S. The patient had returned from West Africa early this month and did not show any signs of symptoms until their return. If it is confirmed to be Lassa fever, it will be the 9th known case in the U.S. since 1969. The disease can be spread by bodily fluids and has symptoms including fever, headache, vomiting, and swelling of the face and torso. Those identified as close contacts of the patient will be monitored for 3 weeks.
There is 1 week until Election Day, and hundreds of thousands of Minnesotans have already cast their vote. On the Minnesota ballot, there's the race for president, Congress, and state house. And you'll also see often overlooked state judicial races. Caroline Cummings explains why there are so many and so few challengers.
Walking through St. Paul neighborhoods, it's clear that Minnesota is in the home stretch of this campaign season. But scattered among signs for president, there are reminders of a less talked about contest of who should preside over a Ramsey County courtroom. That's pretty rare, though.
The vast majority of elections are uncontested.
Herbert Kritzer, emeritus law professor at the University of Minnesota who's studied judicial elections, says it's pretty common to instead see this: an incumbent judge's name and a blank to write in somebody else. In fact, of the 103 nonpartisan district court, appeals court, and Supreme Court races on the ballot, only 9 are contested, meaning there's a challenger.
Why are not more of those elections contested? There are a couple of reasons. One is that the incumbent is indicated on the ballot, and there is likely to be an inclination, if you don't know anything else, you vote for the incumbent. But you do tend to find in the states where they use partisan elections, more of the elections are contested than is true at these levels, at the lower court levels, than is true in Minnesota.
Majority of judges leave the bench during their term, allowing the governor to appoint their replacement. But they have to run for re-election in the next general election for a 6-year term. The last time an incumbent lost was 6 years ago.
There's a phenomenon that's called roll-off, i.e., voters vote for the top offices on the ballot and don't bother to vote for the lower offices on the ballot.
Caroline Cummings, WCCO News.
Statewide, the Chief Justice and 1 Associate Justice face challenges in Ramsey County. There are 2 contested judicial races and 1 in Hennepin County.